The opinions expressed here are exclusively those of CG Sense. No brand affiliations, free products, or affiliate marketing are associated with this video.
For 7 days straight, I put on 9 sprays of Reflection Man, 3 to the chest, 3 to each wrist. I know this might seem excessive to some people, but the Amouage atomizers, they're more like spritzers to me. Anyways, and plus this is a pretty crowd-pleasing scent. Let me get into the opening. So I haven't worn this in a while, and it never hit me as floral as it did visiting it this time around. On the opening, I'm hit with a lot of floral. And the floral is almost like a soapy floral extrait. I'm not getting like the fiber of the flower. That's one of the reasons I think that I've always known Reflection was floral, like super floral. But it never really was one of those things that I got hung up on. And I think that's because some people get grandma fragrance vibes from this. I really don't. And I think a lot of it comes from how clean the floral is. It's almost like a white flower that they extracted what makes the flower fresh from and left behind all the plant material. So it kind of has this almost soapy, super fresh floral vibe on the opening. And there's this heft underneath, like this sweetness and depth. The magic of Reflection Man is just, when I sprayed it, and it'd been a while, and I'd been experimenting with a lot of different fragrances over the past year, just returning back to this one just has a magic to it. It really is like nothing out there. And I think part of the magic is how it's able to have this super fresh, clean, floral vibe, but also have this depth and heft that a lot of freshies simply just don't have to me. And once we get into the first 2.5 hours of this fragrance and the initial dry down and everything, what changes is I realize that the heft is coming from this base of sweetness. Now, the sweetness of Reflection Man is one of those things that's going to be super impossible to describe the scent of, and I've tried. I've worn it for a week straight. I sat down with a friend and we literally talked about it for like an hour. And many other things. I've walked up to random people at Walmart, showed them my wrist, say, smell this. What does that sweetness smell like? I need to start filming that stuff, by the way. It's kind of crazy, but I feel like the cameras make them more nervous. But at the same time, I just walk up to somebody, while they're shopping, and I say, what does that smell like? But nobody's really given me like a really good answer of what makes this sweet. It's definitely not gourmand. It doesn't have an edible quality at all. It's definitely not thick. In other words, it's very light and airy and ethereal. It doesn't really have a shade of color. It doesn't make me think of blue, yellow, green, or anything like that. So it's just this really light, airy sweetness. And if I were to give my best description possible of how I would describe the sweetness of this, and this is just the best I could do, to put an image in your head to kind of take you to where my mind goes with this, I would say milky cornbread, almost. I don't know why, but when I think milky cornbread and I smell this and I think of the sweet part of it, I can kind of see the connection there. So if you could think of like milky cornbread almost providing a thickness while being really light and milky and airy and light, that's kind of what I get in the base of this. And then on top, this super fresh, luxurious, soapy floral scent that's just giving so much freshness. Another thing I'll say about the sweetness is I feel like the sweetness is a lot of what makes Reflection Man special. Not only is it impossible for me to describe what it is, it also gives me this Eastern vibe, like almost a Middle Eastern hipster aesthetic sort of vibe. It actually also gives me this kind of, if you ever heard like modern Latin music that's done with the electronic beats, imagine that at a slow pace, that kind of Latin vibe or that kind of Eastern vibe. Like the sweetness of this, it's hard to say what makes it smell like that, but it does to me. So this fragrance has like this kind of edge to it. Like on one end, it's super clean, fresh, really nice, really easy to wear, can wear it literally everywhere. But it has enough of a niche quality to give it an edge of that is something totally unique. Like there's literally nothing that smells like this. So I have other fragrances that fill this space, like Imagination, Gentle Fluidity Silver, Green Irish Tweed. Like there's a lot of things I have that kind of fill that space of being like an office friendly scent or a daily wear. But one thing I really appreciate about Reflection is it just feels like it pushes that niche envelope more than a lot of those. Like it really kind of pushes the edge of being just right on that perfect balance of being office safe and super friendly, and at the same time super niche, and somehow it makes both of those things work together. So that's the first 2.5 hours of Reflection Man for me. The magic, absolutely love it. After 2.5 hours, I just noticed kind of like a transitioning happen, where the magic is just not as magical. It feels like it's becoming less complex, and it feels like that sweetness, that milky cornbread is losing whatever it is that gives it that Latin-esque modern vibe. And the sweetness also starts to kind of rise up, and I start to lose some of the nuances, some of the complexity, some of the realism of the floral. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying between hours 2.5 and 5 is for me the transition stage where it's transitioning into a more flat fragrance. Now between hours 5 and 10 is when I feel like this is one of those few fragrances that overstays its welcome. In other words, I'm kind of left with this sweet, almost borderline slightly vanillic skin scent. It doesn't smell bad. It's still light. It's still airy. It still works in the summer. But at the same time, it's like between hours 5 and 10 is when I'm left with something on my skin and I can't apply something else. So it's one of the very few fragrances that overstays its welcome to me. It becomes this kind of, it's not really stale, but yeah, kind of a stale skin scent for 5 hours. And I'm kind of like, damn, like I wish this was just over so I could put on something else. Now I realize some people don't get good performance from Reflection Man. Since starting this channel, I've realized performance is extremely subjective. I used to think it was like an objective marker. Like it was pretty similar for everybody. But now I'm realizing I don't know if it's skin chemistry or ease of detectability for different brain types. But for some reason, this one just really performs on me. That being said, I'll say I've never gotten a compliment wearing Reflection Man, and you can see I put a dent in the bottle. So sometimes I wonder if I'm just picking up on it way more than everybody else, and I'm extra sensitive to this scent. Or maybe it just smells soapy to people, and I don't really know why, but nobody really ever gives me any compliments when I wear this, except for my wife. Another thing I want to say to get it out there, and just as a warning, this smells like straight up tortilla to some people. Like that cornbread, milky cornbread sweetness, I feel like some people just get the graininess of that sweetness purely, and it just literally smells like milled corn flour. That's all it smells like. Now, I was doing the Montaigne videos, right? And I was blindfolded. I was comparing the Montaignes to the originals blindfolded. We got to Reflection 45 and comparing it to the Montaigne version. And I was blindfolded, and when I smelt it, all I smelled was if you opened up a bag of tortilla powder, like literally tortilla, that's all I smelled. And it was really crazy. What is this?
It's a Reflection 45.
Oh, gosh, I should have known that one. Wow, when you're blindfolded, you get the tortilla way more. Like, I was like, dude, I felt like I was smelling straight up a tortilla. I hope this video doesn't ruin Reflection for me.
Tortilla. Interessante.
Do you still get tortilla?
I do. I get like a sweet, like dried corn grounded up, mixed with something sweet.
Don't think about tortillas, because if you do, you're not gonna be able to like get past it.
But you already said that.
So don't do it.
Well, now I can't not do it because you said don't do it, so I'm gonna do it, bruh. Tortillas with butter. It smells good, but now you said that, and I'm like, oh my god.
You get it?
Absolutely.
Like when you're blindfolded, it's more obvious.
I don't know why, but now you said that, and it's kind of gross. Like, ew. Like, I don't want to smell like a tortilla like that all the time.
Yeah, but you love Reflection.
But you ruined it. I'm gonna try it again.
No.
You ruined it.
And then when I went back to smelling Reflection 45 not blindfolded, it went back to smelling how it did before. Now, if I smell it off the atomizer, I can get the tortilla a little bit, only when I smell it off the atomizer. So I know it's real, and I know it has to do with a certain brain type and brain chemistry. And there is kind of like a feeling of, even though this is super office safe, To some people, I'm just going to smell like milled corn flour, I bet, in the air. So that's one of the things that kind of is a negative towards reflection, in my opinion, because it's like, bro, this is something I want to wear to a job interview, but I don't want whoever's interviewing me thinking I was rolling around in a bunch of milled corn flour before I went in. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that was a negative for me is just over the 7 days, I started getting bored of this scent. Like, to be real, like, I just kind of desired wearing something else. I still love it. I still think it's great. And I don't think it's one of those challenging scents that's meant to be like an acquired taste. It's something I love from the get-go. It smells great. I love going to work with it on. But it's one of those scents that, for me, it's not a daily wear scent because, one, I get bored of it. And over the 7 days, I started going nose blind to the magic of it more and more. That incredible first 2.5 hours just kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter. It never didn't happen, but it was just getting briefer and briefer. And I felt like, I don't know, it was just one of those things like, I really enjoyed it the first 4 days, the 5th day, but by the 6th or 7th day, I was kind of like, I'm wearing it more because I have to finish this review more than I really want to. I was kind of looking forward to the next scent in rotation. The positives of this is there's nothing else like it. I just looked it up and it's ranked number 6 on all of Parfumo against all men colognes. Super easy to like, very opulent, very luxurious. It's just something of its own. It's like nothing else. It feels very special. I get really good performance out of it. I think it's a great fragrance. Like, I think it's a literal masterpiece. It's one of those ones worth trying. It's not blind buy safe. You might get a grandma scent from it. You might smell straight up tortillas. But it's definitely worth trying. I feel like it's stayed relevant for a long time. It's ranked very high. And I just love Reflection Man. If you ask me what is the most versatile scent in the world, I would say Reflection Man. Why would I say that? It has heft, okay? It's fresh, but it has a lot of heft. I feel like this could work literally in the coldest day of winter and the hottest day of summer. When my wife was filming for this video, she was saying it's a fall fragrance to her. Like, she was getting something, more suited for the fall or winter. And I was kind of like confused. I was like, wow, I get like a summer fragrance. Like, this was on my top summer list. Then I went to work, and my friend at work, he said, wow, your summer list was so great. One thing I would say, though, is you put Reflection Man on it. And I would always think of Reflection as a fall fragrance or a winter fragrance. And that just blew my mind that they both get that, but I get like a dead of heat summer fragrance. I don't think it's like perfectly the best thing to wear on the hottest day of summer, but it's one of the few I can get away with. So I wear it in the heat of the summer because it's so light and airy and has a freshness. And yes, it's sweet, but the sweetness is very light and easy to go with in the heat for me. But at the same time, this really works well in the fall or winter because of its heft. It also has like this ability to be super formal or super casual. The only place and setting I would say maybe this wouldn't be the most appropriate is going to a beach or like going to a pool or something. I don't know why, but I just don't feel like there's a lot better options for that kind of setting. I'd also say that this one just rings a little bit mature, maybe 30s and up. But I feel like if I could only have one fragrance and the goal is just versatility, something that can literally work everywhere, I would go for Reflection Man. I definitely get a strong vibe from Reflection Man that I don't get from anything else. The first thing I really want to emphasize is this fragrance just gives off I am clean from head to toe. That's why, in my opinion, I've always felt it's super appropriate for daily wear, going to a job interview, making a first impression, anything like that, because the first most forefront to the vibe is I am clean, I smell put together. But with that, there's this interesting flair. The flair definitely makes me think of like the Middle East, and it actually kind of feels like it gives me images of Latin culture as well. It's just something foreign. There's enough of that to give it an interesting mark, but at the same time, it never loses that level of being appropriate. But I really want to delve into that. This Middle Eastern kind of Latin culture, kind of hipster vibe. I'll say this fragrance is one of the few that just truly smells very expensive to me. I think it's because it has heft and depth, and it just smells like complex, like there's a lot going on. But this Middle Eastern Latin culture mixed with that luxurious, it smells expensive, really makes me think of, if you've ever been to Earthbound in the mall, that kind of aesthetic of almost like a modern hipster aesthetic. It gives me that kind of vibe, but something more upscale. I mean, I remember one time going into a place that had those Turkish lamps, like super expensive lamps. I don't know why they cost so much, but it also had all this kind of Eastern aesthetic, luxurious jewelry that was just it's seemingly overpriced, but the whole aesthetic of the place was just very modern, very well laid out, almost this Beverly Hills hipster vibe. And Reflection Man just seems like the fragrance of that store. Like if that store had a fragrance that they were selling, it would smell identical to what Reflection is to me. That's the vibe that it gives me that's really interesting.
Is the reflection of the glasses going to be like crazy?
No.
Today we have Amouage Reflection. And the first thing that I'm looking at right now in the bottle is that it has like a little pink stone. And that's cute. I love that. I love that it's pink. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so what first came to mind for me was like almost like a coconut, spicy, baked something mixed with like a green feeling, like a herbal feeling, but also spicy and like fall, almost like what you think of a fall scent, but also green and herbal. Very interesting, very different for sure. I think this would definitely work in colder, not necessarily cold, but not hot. That's what I'm trying to say, like not hot weather. So most likely fall and winter. And I think it's masculine. I don't think it's unisex at all. It gives me like the vibe of sweater and a scarf and leaves outside. That's to me the vibe. Not really winter. It's like a fall fragrance in my mind. All of that being said, I think this is an 8. Because it smells great, but it's probably way too like pumpkin spice, whatever, for me.
Do you get any white florals?
Yes, I do. I think there's like some gardenia or something like that in it. It's good.
And then this is the dry down.
In the dry down, it reminds me of Hypnotic Poison by Dior for that vanilla, weird vanilla. It's good. I like it.
That vanilla vibe, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's sweet.
Yeah.